Chinese people know more about Westerners than Westerners know about Chinese people. So that knowledge imbalance is quite dangerous for both sides. It's completely transformed. So the first time I went to China was in the late 1980s, and frankly it was quite tough for a sort of comfortable foreigner like I was. So conditions were pretty simple, but in the last certainly 5 years, slightly more than that, it's really quite amazing the improvement in the environmental condition. And I know that it's incredibly tough for the governments to deal with that, because it involves necessarily closing factories down, and then you have the unemployment problems and so on. So it's a very, very difficult problem that all societies are grappling with, but I can see quite a big change in that over the last 5 to 10 years. I think that the press in the West plays a role which emphasises certain aspects of Chinese society and Chinese life and diminishes other ones. So personally, I think that the press does an extremely bad job in Western society about trying to explain. I mean, look, there's no society in the world that's perfect. It's the equivalent of just thinking about America and just thinking about nothing except conflict and guns. Yeah, guns absolutely everywhere. But that's only partial. So there are things in Chinese society that Westerners are always going to find difficult because we've got a different historical experience. But I think that the basic needs and desires of Chinese people are very, very similar to Western people. You want a peaceful environment where you can develop your own life. I mean, everybody should be able to recognise that. My personal experience is that Chinese people look at what has been achieved over the last 30 to 40 years and they say, well, that's a pretty amazing achievement. And I don't think that that is properly recognised in the Western press. Chinese people know more about Westerners than Westerners know about Chinese people. So that knowledge imbalance is quite dangerous for both sides. Yeah, so it's dangerous for Westerners because we kind of don't understand. The Chinese have a competitive advantage, but it's also bad for China as well, because if Westerners don't really understand it and try to look at China through purely a Western lens, you can misjudge it, and that's bad for China as well. So that's something I feel really strongly about. The leadership of China looked at the way that Western society worked, and they said, well, you know what, that bit might work, right? The stock exchange, it might work. Let's try it. Deng Xiaoping said that. Just try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we just close them down. What's the problem? The Chinese were much more experimental. 磨之石头过河, yeah? So there has to be a reason for that. And I think that's because they had a huge body of political thought stretching back more than 1,000 years. They're not going to just dump all that and just suddenly use a Western model that's only been tested for a few decades. And that has affected world history, for sure.